has said in trials, everybody that we've talked to, you guys have seen the interviews as well, right? Everybody has been saying that Square One is the team to beat on this composition, and that's exactly what Chicken Contendies has been doing. They've been beating Square One at the 3-3.
Yeah, speaking of the 3-3, is that what Square One are doing right now? Seems like they might be sending Dove out on a scout, but we have seen Dove be the designated Sombra player, going for the kind of the Sky Foxes approach, like we said. The Sky Foxes, which is probably maybe last season not what you want it to be, but Dove getting ready with the Sombra, looking for a hack on Chicken Contendies, but has to already teleport away, so Square One possibly trying to set up something with Dove or wait for a round of ultimates.
Someone has to deal with Ultraviolet on this high ground, though, or else, put some pressure down, and that's exactly what they do. Force the Biotic Grenade to be used defensively here already.
And Jolf got stunned, and he's already low, so Square One have to wait to get healed up, get that shield ready, and Chicken Contendies have some room to breathe.
Fortunately for them, they don't want room to breathe. They want to get in there. They want to get aggressive, look for that opening from their Sombra, then drop the Biotic. They were able to beat out Skyfoxes with this composition. Now can they do it to Chicken Contendies?
Oh, a shotter from Gig as he got booped forward past Jolf, and now a responsive shotter from Jolf as well, and now he's got the nano, so he can go ham, and Square One get point A.
Now they'll have the EMP for second point as well, right? I mean, that's what you want to play with. You want to get the EMP out. You ideally want to have something to follow up with it, because the EMP, you might sometimes need, just a little bit more than that, especially considering Chicken Contendies have options to fire back with of their own. So we'll have to see what they want to pull into it. Do they want to just go EMP Grav and just swing away? Because nothing's going to protect anybody other than maybe a Transcendence if Suppose can hide here.
Grab, EMP, I mean, there's so many winning conditions for Square One, but it's grab to grab, EMP and EMP, or sorry, EMP and nothing from Chicken Contendies, but now only 2 kills for Square One. They still are alive and well. They use the barrier, they get on the point, they chase that Zarya player here of Harblue. And now the first tick should be earned here for Square One. Chicken Contendies, though, they have a barrier, they have a hope and a dream.
But that might be all they have, because we see the Biotics coming out left and right from Ultraviolet, and soon enough they'll have the ability to drop the Nano Boost, and that's cleanup once they have that out.
Okay, Square One are still in this, shattering the doorway to scare everybody. The defense from Chicken Contendies just don't have anything left besides a hope that they can hopefully shave off some time of this time bank from Square One, which first or second fight for Square One on point A, but the first fight getting into point B, this will be a really stacked time bank. 5 minutes plus, and this was on the back of not doing their usual 3-3. They gave up the D.Va and went with the Sombra, and it's been working out.
Someone tell me how this stall is going on still. Someone tell me how, because Square One should have closed this out about a minute ago, and finally they get the job done. I mean, yes, they don't have as much just like kind of instant kill potential because they aren't running the Zen. They can't rip down the Hammond as quickly. They can't rip down the Winston as quickly as well. And they're kind of relying on everybody else to make sure that they, find ways to get the kills kind of more closer together. But either way, a decent stall. Still, though, 5 minutes of a time bank. That's a big one for Square One.
And it could have been bigger, like you said, but fantastic defense from Chicken Contendies to keep rolling people in and out, literally with the Hammond and other things. But it was a solid Square One attack. The EMP grab, I was a little bit worried because if that couldn't, they used everything while they were getting grabbed by Harblue, and that could have just, they could have just invested everything into a fight that they would have lost. But thankfully, they got 2 kills at the start and then got on the point, and the rest is history.
Now Square One looking to defend. It looks like they're feeling pretty comfortable with that Skyfox's 2.0 type composition here, running the Sombra and the Ana. I mean, they were able to kind of beat Skyfoxes with it even. So obviously they kind of know what they're doing with it. And with it, they also managed to cap both points in 3 minutes. So you have to expect that what they're going to do here is play very slow, kind of keep the tempo as low as they possibly can, and allow Jolf time to, or rather give Jolf the opportunity to give Dove time to, get the hacks out and set things up, build to the EMP. Those are the kind of things that you want to get so the Biotic Grenades can come out unimpeded by any kind of D.Va. But no D.Vas in play. It's Salty back on the Winston.
Double main tank, and like you said, Ultraviolet, that Ana player on the high ground will be pivotal. He'll have a really nice angle over the shields, and Chicken Contendies, though, they're running the double shield, so at least they'll have Salty to be able to dive that high ground, maybe just at least dislodge Square One from up there, and then you can still have Gig who protects the rest of his backline with the shield.
And they're jumping right on the point. Can't play low tempo when everybody's breathing down your neck.
And, well, Chicken Contendies trying to set up their attack, but they got Anti there. Where is Gig going? Why would you go for that pin? He gets booped off. Hard Blue next to follow, and that's just not going to be the attack Chicken Contendies are looking for.
You absolutely have to jump on top of the Ana with this type of composition, because if you give space and room for Ultraviolet to be tossing biotic grenades around, I mean, you don't have a diva in play, so you're gonna get free biotic grenades if you're Square One, and the only way to deal with that is by killing the Ana early, and the composition you're running is built for that. So go ahead and get in there, try to deny the hacks coming out initially until you can get over to the Ana and start putting some pressure.
And especially having that pressure with the Winston bubble to cut off Ultraviolet and just the healers from the rest of the team. But Square One, they have an EMP and they'll have a Shatter, so Chicken Contendies don't have the immediate ultimates. Suppose can get that Transcendence up quick. EMP drops from Dub. Chicken Contendies are a little bit stuck. They want to wait this one out, but Gig is too far deep. And because of that, Jolf got a free Shatter, and everyone from Chicken Contendies just drops.
That's the combo, right? The EMP Shatter. Sometimes you put a nano boost into it or something if you feel like you have to, but when you don't, you don't. Hot Date now, he's got the Graviton at the ready. They can play into that for this next fight. Harblu has really struggled to get his up as well because, you know, most of these fights he's just been tossed around and dropped because of the aggression that Square One has once they gain the lead, once they get that opportunity to dive in and be able to take that tempo a little bit higher.
Well, it's been quite some time Chicken Contendies have spent on this attack. Square One got it way quicker, so already a little bit of a time bank disadvantage, but it'll be up to the grab here from Square One if they want to hold another defense, and they'll be pairing that with Ultraviolet's Nano. Grab thrown out first from Hot Date. Ultraviolet still hanging on to the Nano, surprisingly. Could use it on Jolf, he's feeling the pain, but the barrier used from Angelic first. And this is what keeps the defense sustained for the moment. Now the Nano from Jolf comes in, and now Chicken Contendies want to get away from that guy.
Yeah, they want to get out quick so that they can play the Graviton for this next fight without giving too much to Square One, but the issue now is that they've already given too much. They have the EMP Shatter at the ready once again, and there's no way, no how that you can get away from that unless Gig can somehow, you know, get away from the hack, but that's going to be the priority target. Once Gig loses his barrier, that's how you enable the Shatter. So Square One going to be playing this for that combination.
And Zolik stays on the high ground, possibly to use that barrier. There it is, saves them only for the moment, but an anti from Ultraviolet already weakens them, and Jolf weakens them even more. What a slam from that main tank player of Square One, and a perfect position to hold yet another defense against Chicken Contendies, who only have 30 seconds left. But look at this, 3 versus 3. It's actually not over yet. Chicken Contendies looking to focus down Hot Date, who is now forced to use the grab, and there's the cleanup from Jolf. Square One now 18 seconds away from starting the comeback in the series.
Well, they can get onto the point, and they have time to get Harblu and Zolik back, especially with that speed boost to connect with the rest of their teammates, then play off the Transcendence, maybe play off the Shatter as well from Gig. This is possible for Chicken Contendies.
Gig gets hacked, he can't Shatter. Just a big chunky armor, but it's okay, he's got his Zarya bubble, and they didn't go after him right away, but he got slept. Gig sleeping on the job, now supposed has to use the Transcendence. Barrier re-engaged from Square One, getting closer and closer to a Nano to give that to Jolf to win the Rhine duel, but they bump into each other now. Who actually got that? It was Hot Date that got the Nano instead. But one tick is earned from Chicken Contendies. Hot Date is on fire, but they need to prevent the second tick to go through from Chicken Contendies, who are now in overtime. They can't afford any more mistakes. Hot Date uses the grab. Dub in desperation EMP, but Chicken Contendies will still get the point at the last second, just like they did in Blizzard World.
Yeah, there's no way that Dub's going to be able to do that by himself. It was a desperate play by Hot Date to go for that grab, but overall it doesn't connect the way that they want to with the EMP, and they weren't able to get the cleave on it that they needed. And now Chicken Contendies, you know, they're already behind. They already have that time bank disadvantage, but they can get this quickly here. They do have the weapons. Harblu with the grab, Zolek with the sound barrier to keep them sustained.
Grab is turned from Harblu, but it's on the high ground. They can't connect as much damage, but the job is done. Half of Square One are dead. Chicken Contendies, 3 minutes and 24. Time bank disadvantage, but a win is a win. They give themselves another chance to equalize this in the coming rounds. Square One will have to set up a defense if they can shave off some time, but there's already 2.5 ticks for Chicken Contendies who have leftover ultimates. Jolf's Hammond is just not enough to even get on the point, and Chicken Contendies, they finish Volskaya.
They also had so much left at their disposal too, right? They had 5 ults that were just up or ready to go as soon as anybody was able to contest. So 2-minute disadvantage. We will see Chicken Contendies attack again here. But that first point defense, it was real solid. I mean, they did hold for over 3 minutes. Square One could potentially do that here again. And they did quite well, I think, into that double main tank attack that we saw once again from Chicken Contendies.
That was, yeah, like you said, a really solid defense from Square One, but because they desperately used the grab and the EMP and died so late trying to contest point A, that they just really weren't ready for just the train of Chicken Contendies coming in. They didn't have an EMP or a grab to maybe throw the fight in their favor, but at least there's a time bank advantage for Square One. They'll be on the defense to start, and Chicken Contendies, the double main tank is a really interesting look. Like you said, they haven't done that as much in this trial season.
So now when Square One defends here, they're definitely going to want to play it basically the same way we saw them already, right? I mean, Dove wants to play into the back line, put some pressure down. There's no diva for him to hack, so he can, I mean, he could basically just go for Zolek and then shoot Suppose, or he could, you know, use it on Gig and drop the barrier so that they can actually get plays from Jolf. So actually kind of better almost that they don't have to worry about the diva, because it's a lot easier for Dove to have these targets in mind of who he wants to go for the hacks with.
Well, Chicken Contendies out the gates, the same double main tank. They're speeding up to the high ground where Jolf is waiting for them. Beats a fire strike, takes a step back, and Square One waiting for the call from their Sombra player. Who is going to be the hack they set off? And he finds an assassination onto Suppose in the back, and he's looking for more onto Zolik. But meanwhile, Square One up by 1 in their defense, but Harblu starts to even things up, and these are the type of teams that keep these fights going forever. It's 4 versus 3 for the defense, and finally Chicken Contendies, they seem to want to reset.
And you have to be so careful when you see Chicken Contendies backing away and you see that you have the ability to push them back, maybe get some trade kills and stuff. You never want to give that opportunity to Harblu, because he always has that massive energy pool, and he's going to get kills. He's going to generate that ult that you don't want to have to deal with and not bait. Oh no.
Square One? Chicken Contendies, they snuck onto the point, got half a tick, and Square One just didn't get to the point. That's 1 tick, 2 ticks, and more, and Square One lost 2 at the start of the fight. They just got completely caught off guard, like you said. You just can't count Chicken Contendies out when they go for these, quote, resets. They just get on it, and they get point A.
Especially with this comp, too, right? I mean, without having the diva, you get a little bit more burst damage because you are bringing the Winston in play, and once everybody's kind of collected together, you can just cleave on everybody, get that instant burst with the leap, then follow up with that 30 DPS from the Tesla cannon per target. So they're doing a lot of really solid damage every time they instigate these fights.
EMP. Oh, Dove dies immediately from a heart attack after he drops the EMP, but the follow-up is still there from Square One that run over Chicken Contendies, and that's okay. Just means no snowball and Salty sleeping on the job.
All right, a minute and a half though. A minute and a half left. Both these teams trying to play to the win condition of getting the Graviton up and trying to cleave into it. Ultraviolet, I think, gives Square One the ability to kind of win that one out, because when you talk about the advantages that you get from the Ana, the Biotic Grenade is the one you want to look at the most. It's the one that everybody talks about, and there's a reason why. I mean, it will deny all of the healing that will come from Suppose and his Transcendence.
Well, that and gives the nano to the main tank, but Gig was sleeping at the start. It's grab to grab. No one can do anything. And Salty's forced to use the Primal to keep himself alive. Now his job is going to be to displace Square One. But meanwhile, you got Jolf, who's kind of stuck into a tiny room, and pins Harblue out of the picture, actually still survives. And Chicken Contendies, they don't have their full 6-man to go on to the point, and they're still investing ultimates because they think they have the upper hand. Square one now on the back foot. The first take will go for Chicken Contendies.
Well, Sound Barrier is still available for Injug, so they could use this a little bit late, and Jolt coming back on the Reaper will have that extra health to just rampage onto the point.
Yeah, that's the barrier and the EMP drop from the defense. Chicken Contendies using so much. Now they're getting grabbed, and that's cleanup duty for Square One.
Oh, a nice little hack on Dove to prevent the charge that would have potentially killed Hot Date. So denying that as well. And that's a little bit of ult charge that they won't have to worry about down the line. Solid going to be dying out late here, and that's going to be that. Chicken Contendies, hey, at least they get the first tick.
Got a first tick. They got a lot done. And it's been maybe an issue with both these teams of not going for the full reset and still deciding to use ultimates like a Sound Barrier from Zolik in moments where they're down by 3. And that's maybe a questionable move. It could turn into trying to equalize those numbers. It's a very risky play. They've even done it on Blizzard World once or twice. So that can sometimes bite them in the butt, and that was probably the bite in the butt that caused them to not win point B.
Yeah, and because of that, 46.3% on point B is all that Square One's going to need. They can bounce back in this series right here and right now. I mean, this is the Skyfox's special, right? I mean, turn it around on this map in particular, and they're doing it with the same type of composition. I mean, the exact composition that Skyfox normally does it with. So obviously, it's a very strong composition. On this map in particular, there's a lot of walls that you can use, even if you don't have high ground control with your Ana, to kind of just throw that biotic grenade into it. It goes over the top of the barrier from the Reinhardt. So there's a lot of reasons why you would want to pull it out here, especially because Sombra is even just super strong on this map as well. It dates back even, you know, you see a lot of the Korean teams playing it here as well, way back in the day, like almost a year ago, where Sombra was played here on this map. So naturally strong composition.
Well, I'm a fan of the Ana because of the nanos that can just give your Rein the extra advantage, especially to go up against 2 main tanks. And if you were to get Dove from Salty, you have at least some protection with the sleep dart that Ultraviolet can use. So Square One to the right side. You can see that Dove's actually not set up here in the back, or he's trying to, again, go harass the supports of Chicken Contendies, who now just force themselves onto Square One and just start to crumble their front line. And Square One are stuck into this tiny room, but they have at least plenty of time to work with.
They also have the hack on the Mega Health Pack too, so they're just super safe, especially with their backline, because they can fall back onto that Health Pack whenever they need to, and Dove gives them that ability.
But Dove, I mean, could get onto the high ground, see if he can get a hack. They need to break out of this, but Jolf unfortunately dies first. And the grab from Harblue's thrown on top of that just to clean up the rest of Square One. So that's 1 minute out of the picture.
You have 4 minutes now to cap out this first point. That'll give you 30 more seconds to get some work done on second. But you got to start building to that EMP. You got to start building to the things that will get this opened up. I mean, high ground control right now to the defense, and they can continue doing that, especially with Salty on this Winston. He was continuously actually harassing from high ground, and they have to make sure that they keep him in check.
Well, Square One's about to have their first grab, and they're going to need it to get this point. Dove's up farther behind on the EMP than you might expect, and they're again stuck into this tiny room. Now want to break out here with the grab from Hot Date. And it's just not enough damage. No one died here from Chicken Contendies after that. Now a nano's given to Big Al from all people, when maybe you want to give it to Jove, who has a little bit more finishing power, but the job is still done. 2 down for Chicken Contendies. Square One set themselves up on the point.
They're going to be able to kill these last couple of players from Chicken Contendies, as well as hold on to that combo that we see Square One really liking lately. I mean, having the EMP Shatter is something that they're going to be wanting to pull out as soon as they get the ability to push into that second phase of the map. And I honestly think that there's really nothing that can be done here outside of Chicken Contendies having Suppose with the eagle eye to be able to get the Transcendence prior.
Square One, the winning condition is there. Can they send us into a game 5? They have 3 minutes, you know, 2 and something fights to get it done. Setting up with the EMP from Dove. He drops it, the Shatter to follow along with with it, crumbles the front line of Chicken Contendies, who are just hacked. They can't even use support ultimates even if they wanted to. Hot Date is so high energy, he's melting off the faces of Chicken Contendies. And there you have it. Square One will send us into a game, well, 2-1. I thought it was game 5. I got ahead of myself, but they start the comeback. They start the comeback here.
I was like, where are you going with this? Game 4 as usual.
It's but I played Volskaya 6 times. I think we're in. I spent so much time on Volskaya.
I can't blame you for that. I definitely can't blame you for that. I feel like everybody's probably gonna believe the same thing. Everybody. But either way, yeah, we go into Escort here. It's 2-1, still in favor of Chicken Contendies. And we will move into a map style that is very, very strong for Square One. I mean, you often see them performing very well. You see these aggressive defense happening right outside of the respawn of the attacking side, and they're just playing for time, and they're so good at sustaining in fights as well. We even, saw in some situations where Square One may want to actually pull out an Ana, whether it be with or without a Sombra. So I'm really looking forward to how they want to play this Escort map, because something like Junkertown or Route 66, I guess, even would be really strong for Square One with the way that they like to play.
Well, Chicken Contendies' choice of map, they send us to Route 66. And now I feel like I just jinxed it. I think I just jinxed the game. And Volskaya is one of the longest maps, but we'll see how far they can get on this Route 66. Switching things up, it's going to be Chicken Contendies attacking first. So, see if they can set the pace pretty high.
Something that I've been waiting on is also the triple tank kind of setup from Chicken Contendies. We haven't seen it yet, but they played it yesterday, and it's also something that they played a lot back when Tanner was on their roster as well in Open Division. And I think honestly that could be something that they could pull out here. This is the one of the maps where they actually did pretty well with that, having Harblue on the Hammond. So we'll have to see if they wind up pulling that out later on. But first things first, we're going to have Square One defending, and you already know what's going to happen, right? It's going to be that aggressive hold, playing kind of defensively, working with this composition that they've felt comfortable with now. We already saw them win Volskaya with it, so it's no question that they want to bring it back here.
And this is the map where we've seen Chicken Contendies have a lot of fun. They're never in a situation where they're not in a 3-0, and they'll have like Hammond, they'll have DPS, they'll have a ton of fun with it. But they should obviously play a lot comfortably, especially when Square One just took Volskaya. It's not over yet. And Square One on this defense, bringing that Skyfox special. I like how we called that, because no one's going to know what we mean unless they watch Trials. But Ultraviolet, Ana, and Dove Sombra again.
Seems like Chicken Contendies have really fallen into liking this Winston setup, not going for the Diva and playing that, where they can get aggressive, diving onto the Ana, and just kind of controlling the frontline fight too.
Oh, and Anti hits Gig, and he has to be a little bit more careful. And there's the finish from Square One. And that'll just stall out Chicken Contendies' offense for the moment. But Square One missing their Ana, and now the offense missed their Winston. This is kind of a weird fight.
I think this is kind of scary, actually, for the attacking team. They get their kills, but I think with the Winston, Dove is actually going to be able to kind of farm ult a little bit faster than he would against a Diva. And that means more EMPs that you have to deal with over time. And EMPs are a very effective way to get fight wins against compositions like this.
On the card, there'll be one last fight. Square One coming back with an EMP. Harblue slept, and that's the moment to engage here for Square One. Jolf thankfully booped away before he could finish off Harblue, and now Jolf's in just a horrible position, but he's getting peeled here for the rest of his team, and he almost died. But Chicken Contendies, they get back onto the cart. Dove ready to swoop down with this EMP, and when is it gonna happen? They're trying to win it out without it, and there's the EMP. Nails the front line of Chicken Contendies, but Square One already lost Jolf, and that's your main person to lead your charge into these EMP setups. Gig sleeping on the job, and Square One, that's bought him some time.
It's definitely your go-to guy, but they could kill Gig here. They got the hack onto him, but there's the sound barrier to keep him alive.
And the Gravistrone, the bottom of Big Hurls, and Jolf is gonna swing away into that. Just barely Square One pulling away with this defense, and Chicken Contendies, though, they'll have the ult advantage for next.
So now Jolf, he died out in that last fight as the EMP came, but we do see Dove pushing forward and going for some little bit of poke pressure into the backline, right, where he's going to try to set up a hack and open up Jolf's ability to drop an Earth Shatter. They're just going to look for that hack, maybe without even an EMP, but Dove is getting close to that EMP very rapidly, already back up at 76% and rising.
Yeah, another burst, and that'll be another EMP for the defense. That's so quick, and now you don't have Salty, but grab thrown from Harblu. Barrier and just the barrier used from Angelic was a Transcendence from Suppose. The attacking team still look good. Jolf under pressure, shatters, wants to finish off Harblu, takes away that energy he's been building up towards, and Square One hold another defense.
Now it's 1 minute and 15 seconds left. You've got maybe 1 or 2 fights, but look at this adjustment being made. Harblu over to the Pharah. I believe this is only the 2nd time we've actually seen Harblu swap to the Pharah in trials so far, but they're pulling it out here. It looks like we will get a pause there. Jolf calling for that one in the chat, so we will indeed get that, but something to take note of is that Harblu is on the Pharah. They swap Salty over to the Zarya, and they won't have those ultimates available, but they do have the chip damage that the Pharah provides, as well as Zolik being very safe in the sky on the Mercy.
Maybe trying to go for the Pharah to put these supports under pressure. Ultraviolet getting away with these sleeps and these antis. Take Angelic out of the fight. Just weaken the supports of Square One is what Chicken Contendies want to do with this Pharah. And we've seen Harblu bring out the Pharah before. It was Rialto.
Yeah, I think so.
That I'm forgetting. Just the one time they brought it up where we were like, what? First time seeing Harblu on Pharah? What? Yeah,
I mean, so far you haven't seen Harblu on very much other than the Zarya. I mean, you've seen him on Pharah and a Hammond, and if I'm not mistaken, it's either in trials or it was in open division playoffs. He was actually on the Tracer as well, but that could have been playoffs. I could be misremembering, but those were the only heroes that we've seen him on, and the only times we've ever seen him on those other heroes is you know, 1 or 2 maps. I mean, even the Hammond that he used a lot in open division playoffs has only happened, you know, twice or maybe even 3 times so far through trials. So now we see him on something different. They put Salty on the Zarya, but these swaps are very late, right? Suppose on the Ana now as well. There are 4 characters, and even you can put Gig into that as well, that aren't going to be getting ults for quite some time. And now you're playing into Grav, EMP, Nano Boost that's going to be coming up from Ultraviolet as well. You really have to get these things generated quickly. You have to make sure that Harblu is going to be able to generate that ultimate very fast, because the thing that you're basically waiting for is the combo between Harblu and Salty, and maybe a setup with some biotic grenades here and there.
But that's only a minute, and I'm not sure if they'll be able to get those ultimates in time. I'm worried about Dove EMPing and bringing Harblu down from the sky. There he is, drops like a fly, and Giga's already out. You needed to protect him during that EMP engagement, so at least it wasn't too much time wasted, but Square One are looking to stagger some more people out.
And they're still allowing Harblu to kind of poke and prod away right now. Needs to get the barrage very quickly. He has 30 seconds to get it done. Looks like he's on pace for it at the moment, but it's very difficult here, especially because his chip damage isn't going to be lethal due to the fact that they are running the Ana. They have the healing.
Oh, grab from Hot Date. Gig is just by himself. Oh, he actually survives. And Harblu takes out Dove. Now a shatter from Jolf just splits open the attacking team of Chicken Contendies. Seconds remaining. And very surprisingly, we're not seeing Chicken Contendies even get to A. One last saving grace grab from Salty, who got the nano boost, trying to put his team on the backpack, but that overtime goes away quickly, and Square One hold that defense against Chicken Contendies.
Really good defense there, and Ultraviolet on the Ana, making huge plays. Initially slept the Pharah out of the sky. I mean, Harblu fell to the ground. They didn't get the kill, but at least not at that stage. But then he follows up with another sleep onto the opposing Ana. I mean, this is a 14-year-old player. Ultraviolet is so young, but so good already playing in this role and on such a good team as well. Really, really pivotal player, especially when he pulls out that Ana. That's definitely someone we want to highlight going forward, you know, as they progress into Contenders. That's someone that everybody, I think, is going to be talking about.
That winning condition, hey, maybe I thought I jinxed the game 5, but now I might have not. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. But it's gonna be a short map, and now I won't have to confuse what map we're in. Because just a few meters away is that yellow box of victory for Square One that could be sending themselves into a game 5 and possibly hold on to their undefeated streak, or maybe Chicken Contendies with a good enough defense can be the first team to give Square One a loss in trials.
Yeah, they need to win 2 fights here. Chicken Contendies should hold up close here on this escort map so that they have the best opportunity, because it's a 4-minute hold on first point that you have to make work for you. And you know that what's coming out of the gates is the exact composition that held you for all that time yourself. So how you play into that? Well, you bring back the Diva. You start working on trying to deal with the biotic grenades from Ultraviolet, and start pushing the aggression towards Jolf. Start putting shield pressure down with your Diva. That's a huge advantage that you can play into, and make sure that Jolf can't really play.
And it's a great rotation for Square One. Now they have the high ground advantage, and those antis you spoke about for Ultraviolet going to be so much easier. And they push Chicken Contendies up into a small space up against the wall where Harblu's on the high ground and Salty's at a different angle. So they're setting themselves up quite well, but Square One now coming in like a train. Joel's getting booped around, tries to pin himself back into position, but he's dealt with already.
We already saw the hacks coming out too. Buck tries to deal with them. This huge positional advantage over time to Square One, but not able to do anything with it in this first fight. We saw Dove not really be able to get the priority hacks that they were looking for at the right time for them to set things up. But if they can go ahead and get that same position, you know, take the high ground up the left side, drop behind them, then Dove has a great opportunity to start hammering away. Although it looks like they might just go for this, way.
Big hack onto Gig, and that opens up just the front line of Chicken Contendies. And now Square One trying to break away with this, swinging away as Jolf looking to finish off Harblu, who had all that energy. Suppose is next, and now you only have 1 fight remaining for Chicken Contendies, or else we're going to a game 5.
Problem is, Square One, they're gonna have the EMP again, they're gonna have the Shatter, they're gonna have Grav coming up. They have everything that they need, and you don't even have the sound barrier available as well. So realistically speaking, all of those things are coming your way, and all you have to answer is a Transcendence, and that's it.
The yellow box of victory around that corner. Dove ready with the EMP, but everyone's on the high ground, so he has to wait for his translocator to be ready. Drops it right on top of Harblu, looks for the finish. You need to help Harblu. He's gonna have the grab, but the kills are already coming in for Square One. Chicken Contendies just weren't ready for this barrage of ultimates. Square One had their name on it. Meters away, Chicken Contendies, unless they can get back quick. That's Square One sending us into an actual game 5.
Well, Hot Take can just grab them off. They're all going left side, and they are all caught indeed. So another one of those times where you just get grabbed off, and
it'd be like that.
It do be like that. Sometimes it be, but
zoning grab, by the way. But game 5, Elios, I believe, and whew. I mean, this was really because Chicken Contendies' attack just fell away from them. They had ultimates, just couldn't coordinate. It's always Grav versus Grav, not resetting at the right moment. And then they tried this Pharah, where Pharah is great, but only having a Pharah, not having a second DPS to finish off the poke damage that the Pharah had. And especially against a triple support comp, that Pharah poke damage just wasn't going to be enough.
Yeah, and now we're going to be moving into Ilios. This is our second game 5 of the day already, right? I mean, we're seeing, or at least that we're casting. So Square One versus Chicken Contendies, it's going to be decided here by this map here and right now. And I really think that we're going to be seeing something a little bit different. I'm looking forward to seeing what Square One actually wants to play on well, because we've seen a difference. We've seen a paradigm shift, if you will. I should have said that in the last matchup, but of how our teams want to utilize compositions on well specifically. There's been a slight adjustment, maybe even bringing in, you know, Orisa-based compositions, Winston-based compositions, and that's what I'm looking forward to in this series.
Down to the wire. Chicken Contendies were up 2-0. Square One respond with Volskaya and Route 66 for that game 5. I'm not going to say the word. Don't make me say it.
I'll say
the
it.
Reverse. Sweep! No, just no. We don't want to see it. We kind of want to see it. It's just the game 5 is insane between these two teams. Two juggernauts, Square One undefeated. Chicken Contendies only losing to the best team so far, and I don't know where this is gonna go. Clearly, Square One have all this momentum ramped up from the last two maps.
Yeah. So when we get into this, I'm again. This is 3-3 versus 3-3. We've seen Chicken Contendies come out ahead actually in that matchup of just straight 3-3. Square One have gotten into this position by playing the Sombra Ana composition. When you go into control, perhaps you can't play that all the time. You know, some of these maps aren't going to cater to that play style, and your Ana's going to be in a very dangerous position, back into that danger zone, right? If you do see Salty go over to the Winston, I mean, we've seen Chicken Contendies play that composition time and time again. So it's something to keep in mind when you're thinking about what kind of compositions are coming out of the gate with, because I think this actually could be quite difficult for Square One.
My question here is are Chicken Contendies going to bring back this double main tank? Is this the call here on Ruins? We go into Ilios. I think it's been working out well. The way they're able to play around Salty, harassing the backline, using the bubble to cut off the resources from the front line. And then Gig, all he has to do is protect his backline while Salty does all the work into the back. So Square One, though, because they're running that Sombra of Dove all the time, they have that second win condition of that EMP. So it gives them a little bit more breathing room if the grab or if a shatter doesn't work.
Yeah, I think it's actually counterintuitive, isn't it? I mean, to not have a diva going into an Ana composition, but either way, it's working out because they're able to be so aggressive. They're able to really kind of force Ultraviolet into this playstyle where he can't get as much value because he's constantly having to rotate. But interestingly enough, to follow up on that counterintuition, they're bringing a Moira out who can be effectively nullified. Well, how about that? Sleep dart right out of the gate.
Well, also, you don't have a diva eating all your healing orbs, so Chicken Contendies will have more healing because of that. That's and it can also... Oh, what an ante from Ultraviolet. Hits everyone from Chicken Contendies. There's your fight win for Square One, rotating now towards the point for the first cap.
Yeah, and that's the problem that you fall into. Either, I think you play the Zen or you play the diva. You have to play one of them because otherwise you're just trying to sustain against an Ana composition that's just going to kind of whittle you down, and you're not playing into the fact that the Sombra is not a great brawler either. So they gave away almost an entire EMP, and they're still sticking to the Moira here, but at least they now have the defense matrix to potentially counter out those biotic grenades. Still, though, very difficult to find those in the thick of the battle.
Square One having that shatter early. They could be trying to catch Gig and the rest of them off guard. They're really trying to play behind Gig's shield because of that. Jolf is looking for it. He's getting pounced around. Gig, oh, he shatters Ultraviolet, and he counters with an ante, and Chicken Contendies just walk right into it, and they'll lose yet another fight.
Everybody just fell asleep at his feet. Everybody. I mean, he woke up from his shatter, and then everybody was just right there waiting for him. Just please throw a biotic grenade on top of my corpse, or what will soon be a corpse. But either way, Square One, they've got the grab, and there's really no defensive ult that's going to save Chicken Contendies here. They have a Coalescence, but surely that's not enough to sustain.
Can they break through it? The Coalescence, he's like, I'm trying to blow dry you guys. I'm just trying to hose you down with all my healing as much as possible. It's not enough, so they need that Zen, and that's that swap for Suppose coming in.
Now Jolf, he's got the Earth Shatter. Nothing really available for Chicken Contendies, and they have to get this fight win here. So it's going to come down to the grab from Harblue. Has to be able to find everybody in this one, and that he does.
Okay, that's an early grab. Everyone's ready for it. No one dies from Square One. They don't even use the barrier. That's how confident they were. Now they're going to use it for the re-engage barrier. And an EMP drop from Dove on top of that. Chicken Contendies having a rough time.
And Suppose there's no way you're going to get in there by yourself, buddy. But he's pretty much all that they have left. Overtime ticking down. Harblue's trying to make his way back, but that will be that. And Square One playing that so smart, and you have to kind of question the compositional decisions made by Chicken Contendies going into that one. I mean, it's one thing to go for the double main tank and not have the defense matrix available for the Ana, but it's a whole other thing entirely, I think, to go for the Moira on top of that.
I think it maybe maybe it was smart at the beginning because maybe they were trying to fade out of a dive, and also that you don't have a diva eating your healing orbs. They were maybe trying to out-heal the other team, but that only works before the grav set into play, and as soon as Square One had their grav, a coalescence is not enough to heal through that. You need the transcendence, and that's why I suppose went for that swap, but it was too little too late. 100-0 in game 5. Square One, one round away from staying undefeated in Trials.
So the same comp that Square One likes to pull out on Sanctum, they're coming out with on Well. It's effectively the 3-3, but with the Orisa, and they see the comp that Chicken Contendies pulls out with, which is Harblue Pharah, Buck on Sombra, and Buck back on the Sombra actually as of yesterday as well, and Tanner out of this this roster for the time being, and now we'll see the full swap. Now Dove actually going over to the McCree to answer that Pharah directly.
And that was a good swap from Jolt to get off the Orisa. That would only work if you had the setup. Oh, finding Zolik, that's great. Because, you know, taking out Harblue, but then Zolik would have resurrected. Now up by 1, Square One pressuring the main doorway. Chicken Contendies are trying to break through, or just at least throwing their bodies on the point to accumulate as much percentage points as possible, but the flip for Square One goes in.
And Harblue taken down late as well. It seems like this swap worked out well for them, and I think we're going to be getting Chicken Contendies swapping themselves, and that will be the case. And perhaps actually, oh, I was actually expecting them to go over to something like the Sombra Honor or something like that, but or a Winston. But I mean, there are a lot of answers if you do go Winston as Chicken Contendies. You know, you're gonna have to get through the double stun of Dove and Big Al, so makes sense that they go to Reinhardt. They're pulling it out here, but they are at an ult disadvantage for the time being.
And Dove is so far away, gets ready with the Deadeye, gets inside the bubble. Who can he find? Everyone's out of line of sight, thankfully, but Square One are now just getting collapsed on. It's a 1-to-1 trade for the supports, and it's just chaotic. There's fights, there's 1v1s going on all sides of the map. But seems to be coming out ahead as Chicken Contendies here. They only have 3. Oh no, the boop! Harblue is out. You only have 2 remaining, and just barely self-destruct there from Hot Date. They stay alive and hold on to it.
Yeah, they're coming back into the fight. They're getting all their ults up too. That was insane. Angelic popping off again. One of the reasons why they were able to take down Skyfoxes yesterday, and now hanging in there off of the boop. So now 62% on the board. You have to wonder, Square One, is there any way that they're going to get pushed off of this point ever?
Perhaps Gig is looking for the shatter. He has it now. Oh, we almost got booped. See, that's why playing a Reinhardt is so scary here. He shatters just out of panic, gets nothing. Transcendence from Ultraviolet. He's healing the wrong team. He's like, come on, guys, go in. I'm healing you. And Square One now use a barrier. Primal from Jolf also being used. They have a ton of ultimates, but they're not necessarily cleanly winning this fight quite yet. It's 90% plus for Square One, and Chicken Contendies, they need to answer here. Gig has just shattered, but he's 1 HP and can't follow up with it. It's just such a chaotic fight for Chicken Contendies, who just can't seem to get set up whatsoever. Now Harblue and the rest seeing if they can turn the tides, equalizing those numbers. It's 4 versus 2 for Chicken Contendies, 99% for Square One, who will give this up finally.
Well, Square One have time now. They have time to start figuring out the strategy that they want to use, start pulling ultimates out from Chicken Contendies. You have to expect that Chicken Contendies want to start utilizing some of their ults, and as they expend those, I mean, they're in a position where they're forced to do something now, because without the Graviton being used here, they don't have support ults, they're going to lose the fight. So they have to use something, and Square One can go into next with an advantage.
Well, there's the advantage, a Dove. And another, oh, actually Hot Date and Harblue's grab. I was like, wait, where did the other grab go? Square One now up by 2. They've taken out the main shield here of Gig, and now they're next on the hit list as Harblue take out that energy. He's so far away though, and Chicken Contendies not necessarily playing together. They're trying to group up, and especially for this barrier Zolik just used, but Square One are dividing and conquering Chicken Contendies, and even using a Primal, which, well, that Primal's now shut down from the shatter from Gig, and it's an extremely chaotic fight that Square One looking to just zone Chicken Contendies off. They just need to win this fight. Hard Blue just got booped off the map as he came back as Hammond. Chicken Contendies only have one or maybe two, just one player left. Suppose getting back into the fight, and it's been over for Chicken Contendies. But we never give up these miracles. Square One holding this like a fortress, getting closer to the flip, and Chicken Contendies out of hope.
Square One hanging in there. Overtime, still going to be engaged by Salty, but nobody else should be left. And Dove does have the ability to just rip them down as they approach. And that's that. Square One with the reverse. Say with me.
Ooh.
Sweep.
Sweep. Oh, we did it low. Sweep.
Oh, my bad.
Sweep.
Okay.
Sweep. Okay. Okay, we're done. We're done. That was just the most chaotic fight and chaotic map I've seen from both these teams. I would have liked to seen Gig on the Winston. That Primal could have been used to go for these environmental kills as Jolf was doing. And I felt like Gig was getting displaced so much as the Reinhardt, getting discorded under pressure that he wasn't able to give the same value he did on other maps on a map like Well.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a good matchup. We saw a lot of innovation actually, and something that I like about Chicken Contendies, you know, playing with these Winstons and stuff like that, even when it's Salty playing the Winston, is that you see a couple of compositions that have come out from them from playoffs as well as here in trials, especially as of late, that again are very innovative, they're very different, and a lot of times they've actually worked.
Oh, 7-0 is what Square One finished trials with. Flawless. The only flawless victory in trials. But your Contenders teams are set, everybody. You got Square One, Sky Foxes, Chicken Contendies, Bermuda, and Phase 2. 5 teams moving on. I didn't want to promise anybody an extra team. I had to make sure I can count to 5. That's an easy task. But those 5 teams move on to the season of Contenders, and unfortunately that is the end of the road for Underwater Squad, Paradigm, and Triumph. But that is it. What are your final thoughts about how trials went for you?
I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people didn't really expect out of the gates, at least, for first of all, an open division team to do that well. I think anybody watching the scene would have expected Square One, you know, X Path to Poverty rebranded, to do pretty well, but to go 7-0, especially considering that new Sky Foxes roster that people weren't quite sure about, I'll say that I was very sure that they were going to be great, and you know that. So Sky Foxes, of course, did very well, and I think realistically they have a good shot in NA Contenders in Season 1 of 2019.